Good morning, I'm Reverend Jerry Catherine, and I'm here with your miniskirt devotion, a devotion that is short enough to get your attention and hopefully keep it, but long enough to cover the essentials. And this week we are going to start every morning out with reading Genesis 1 through 5, and today I will be reading from the NRSV translation of the Bible. So hear these words from Genesis 1 through 5. In the beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth was a formless void, and darkness covered the face of the deep, while a wind from God swept over the face of the waters. Then God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw that the light was good. And God separated the light from the darkness, and God called the light day, and called the darkness night. And there was evening, and there was morning on that first day. So, a little bit of background for this Genesis 1 story. It's actually one of two creation stories we have in Genesis, and we're only looking at the first 5 verses of the first creation story we have in Genesis 1. So, as many of our stories throughout the Bible, Genesis 1 was passed down orally from mouth to mouth, to generation, and it was actually not written down by the Hebrew people until after they had experienced exile and captivity under the Babylonian rule between 900 and 700 BCE is when this story was finally written down. After the Hebrew people had experienced exile in a foreign country with foreign ways, a land that was not their own, ways that were not their own, beliefs that were not their own, growing up hearing the stories of other people while also interacting and passing down their own stories. One of those stories is the ancient Near Eastern creation story, the Enuma Elish. The Enuma Elish is a creation story that begins with two gods, Apsu and Tiamat, a man and a woman, or god and goddess, who come together to create a lesser order of gods. And in creating this lesser order of gods, they become jealous of Apsu and Tiamat, and so they decide to kill Apsu, the god, and Tiamat is very upset, and so she wages war, a very bloody war on this lesser order of gods, but ultimately she is killed by Marduk, who shoots her through the middle, and splitting her in half creates the heavens and the earth. Now, this is the creation story according to the Enuma Elish, and you might be thinking, why don't we just stick to Genesis 1? That's a much nicer story for creation's beginnings. Why are you telling us all this? Well, I wanted to put it in context because as that story is being told while the Hebrew people are being exiled and held in captivity, they are passing down this beautiful, radically and drastically different creation story of our God, who doesn't create out of violence, does not wage war on the earth. Elohim, as God is known in Genesis 1, which translates to the living God, did not add to the swirl of chaos or darkness as Tiamat, Apsu, and Marduk and the lesser order of gods did. Rather, Elohim is a God who creates, not destroys. A God who created light, a light that literally pushes back the darkness, a light that we can say puts a boundary even around darkness. When Elohim could have eliminated darkness, God did not eliminate darkness, but God did speak light into that darkness, so that dark is never truly dark because there is always light present. That's God's first promise of all of our scripture. Our God who creates by speaking and not with an act of violence speaks into being light that pushes back the darkness, that puts a boundary on how far darkness can come in to the light by naming the light day, and the dark night. Elohim's first promise is there will always be light wherever there is darkness. Darkness does not have the last word. Remember that even in the dark, even in the night, God created the moon and the stars to be light that guides our way through the dark. So remember this today. We worship Elohim, a living God who speaks light and life into all chaos, darkness, and voids. When you encounter darkness, difficulty, or disappointment, simply speak light into the darkness so that you will not feel overcome by by the evil of this world. Today, I want you to try an ancient practice called breath prayer. Give it a try. It's simply you have a phrase and you breathe in part of that prayer and then you breathe out part of that phrase. So today, try breathing, let there be light. Let there be light. Let there be light. Let that be your response instead of being a reaction to any kind of darkness you encounter today or any day. Let there be light. Amen.